Hey everybody, I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching The Sit Down. Rebecca Hall here with us. Tales from the Loop on Amazon. Lots of good stuff going on. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. How has the quarantine been for you and your husband so far?
It's been pretty nice. We haven't got much to complain about. We live in a house with a yard, and a 2-year-old is definitely keeping us occupied.
So you've done a lot of great projects throughout your career. Why don't we talk about Tales from the Loop? What was the best part of that experience for you?
Well, Tales from the Loop was sort of quite an unusual project. I used to do a lot of British TV, but I haven't done TV, certainly sort of American format way of making it with a showrunner and all the rest of it for ever. So I was curious about it. And also when I found out about it, I was told that it was inspired by artwork, which was quite an arresting idea because it definitely suggested that it would have a sort of aesthetic sensibility and be visually arresting. So I was taken with it, and then I was very surprised to find out that despite being quite high concept, though, it's essentially human and based in character-driven stories and incredibly moving. So I was sold.
So what was most interesting in terms of jumping back into TV, since you hadn't done it in quite some time? What were some of the tricks of the trade that, pop to mind right now?
There aren't any really. It's totally, it's the same thing. It's just longer.
Do you miss British TV? Do you miss the British style of things?
I don't know that there's a difference these days. I mean, most British television is a co-production with, Netflix or Amazon or any number of these American companies. So I feel like the whole thing has become very global, and part of the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, people can just watch the show whenever they want. They can binge the entire thing, which is really wild, especially your show. Just rip right through it, right?
Did you binge all of Tales from the Loop?
I haven't done it yet, but I'm sure people have done it, right?
I'm sure they have. It's quite meaty. I found when I was watching it, I found like one episode was enough. I had to think about it. I was quite affected by it emotionally, and then I had to move on and watch another one the next day.
Some shows are like that, where it's like you kind of have to break it off because you can only take so much physically, emotionally, mentally, but then you have more to watch, which is a nice thing too.
Exactly.
How about working with Jonthan Pryce? What were some of the cool moments in doing that?
I was very excited to work with Jonthan Pryce. He was someone that I've admired for a long time. I've known him a little bit, so it was nice to have a fellow Brit on set. We had a great time together. He's incredible. I don't think we spent a lot of time sort of talking about process or acting or anything like that. When the cameras were rolling, we did our bit, but the rest of the time, I feel like we gossiped about people we knew in common.
I feel like that's the best way to get through these long days, because you guys are hanging out for like 14 hours. You don't want to just talk about acting and TV and all that stuff. Like you want to just talk about.
You can't talk about the same thing.
Yeah.
You just have to get out of it, actually.
Who are some other people you've worked with along the way that have really moved you or you've learned a ton from? Because, I look at your story and, Christopher Nolan is obviously somebody that came up along the way, and Ron Howard and people like that. But who pops to mind for you?
I mean, everybody. I mean, that's an annoying response for you, but that's the truth. I don't think you can't. Everything that you do in any career is just, experience and learning for the next one. And I've been really fortunate to have so much, and from a really young age, I was born into a family that taught me an awful lot about it. So I've had a lot of exposure.
Yeah, you've been doing this from a super young age. So what have been some of the most interesting parts of the journey? Because it's hard for people to sustain it, through multiple decades of their life. What have been some of the challenges for you?
I suppose it's like having the courage to not think about your career as some sort of ladder to climb, and that everything naturally progresses in a sort of linear fashion. And having the courage to know that it's all peaks and troughs, and you might get something that you love tomorrow and you might get nothing tomorrow, or and so that ultimately the best thing that you can do is just pick the projects that you want to do, not for any other reason, but because they're going to creatively challenge you.
What's most important for you when you're picking a project? You mentioned the creative challenge. The script is something that people love to say, but what are things that you like to look out for in particular?
I don't really know what the criteria is. I think it has to be something along the lines of, if it feels in my head as I'm reading the script that it's going to be a movie that I want to watch, is basically what it boils down to. And I watch everything, so it's kind of, that can be quite a large sort of eclectic, and I watch everything for different reasons. Like everyone, I watch something because I want to be entertained or distracted, and then I watch something because I want to feel something, or I want to like have a kind of emotional catharsis, or be moved, or learn something. And if any one of those things are peaked, then I'm in. Weirdly, it's not always about the role. For me, sometimes it's just more about the movie, or the style of filmmaking, or the filmmaker, or any of those things.
Well, I feel like The Town probably checked a few of those boxes for you. What was the most memorable part of that experience?
What was the most memorable part of that experience? I mean, I don't know, all of it. I mean, it was really fascinating to get directed by an actor who was also in the scene with you, and that was probably the most memorable part of it, just seeing how he navigated that, because it's very difficult it's a difficult thing to do, like maintain perspective and be in the scene.